your comfortability when it comes to using social, when it comes to just being in, how much time you want to devote to it. So sometimes though, I find that podcasting, because you can do it right from your phone, it can be pretty powerful that way. Simplicity, right? Convenient. You just click a button, you record it, and then you press post. So so I use Anchor for that. And so creating my podcast is a heck of a lot easier than what it used to be, where you felt like you had to have a mic and things like that. So as long as like I would literally hold the phone pretty, like the mic close to my mouth, and then I would just talk, and I press record, put a little caption, press send. The idea is that everything is a segment of 5 minutes, because that's kind of the attention span people have.
Yeah.
And so then that way, then it goes by a lot quicker, and you don't have to feel like you have to go rambling on and on about one topic. And then I think so for some people that don't mind the sound of their own voice, then doing a podcast isn't a problem. They can jump in and out of that. Other people, I would definitely be using like a YouTube channel. So some of the things that come to mind for me is like a used car lot. I'd be putting up video of all of the cars, right? Like you can literally walk in and just say, okay, here's the color, here's the leather interior. And so that way, so new cars, right? You and I could find let me just take a step back. So 20 years ago, when you had to search for a car, you had to literally go to a lot, right? And see it physically. You had to go there. So you bought cars literally geography-wise really close to your house. Now people can buy cars anywhere. And so in the used car business, and so this is me, I might be a little bit out there, but I bought a car in Tennessee a couple years ago because it's exactly the car that I wanted. It was white interior, white exterior, brown. It was a saddle brown interior, leather, and it had like, the air conditioned seats. And then I wanted the one that had like the what's it called? The entertainment unit, right? So it had like 2 9-inch screens behind the headrest, and also obviously a nice one up front. So you couldn't find them everywhere, and it had to have under a certain number of miles and a certain year. And then I found it in Tennessee. Then I went out and buy it. So I literally bought a car miles away from my house. And so, and then I just bought this minivan, and it was, again, put in the different parameters of what you want. I bought it all the way to Milwaukee. I would have never done that 20 years ago, because you wouldn't have even known how to even search for that unless you're like calling every single dealership from here all the way down. Milwaukee, by the way, is like a 3-hour drive from where we are. So it was just way far away. And so, and I know for a lot of like used car dealers, that's what they should be doing. They should be posting up a ton of videos of their used cars. And once they're sold, they can put on it, sold, but still keep the video up there. Mm-hmm. So that way people can start seeing what kind of inventory you have, what kind of quality of cars that you have, without even having to kind of go into a search bar. The other thing that comes to mind for me is a lot of realtors should be using this to be able to showcase their house. And it literally can be walking into their house. And so that's where I think a lot of times people can use like podcasting or video to really enhance kind of what they're trying to do. And so if people, so if you're a sales rep and that's what you're looking is for prospects, you're looking for new clients, remember that your entire space of who you're selling to isn't just in your own community. These people that are traveling from afar. You could be, trying to sell somebody that's in another state, and so it can be extremely impactful if you're looking at opportunities to connect with people outside of the network. So one thing that comes to mind is a buddy of mine. Now he's an IT guy, so he's probably a little bit more out there when it comes to just his comfort level on the internet. But he literally bought a house. Never seen it. Only did it online. He did have the realtor, though, Skype him and walk him through the house. Lived in Arizona, moved all the way to Wisconsin. So for those of you who aren't familiar with geography of the United States, that's literally, for some places like Europe, that'd be in completely different countries. In a car ride, it would take you probably about 30 hours to drive there in one shot in a car on the freeway, going like 70 miles an hour. 75. So that's really where we're on the cusp of really running into a lot of this, where a lot of it is going online, a lot of these connections. So again, if you're a sales rep, you could be selling to people online, and that's not even right now. Your company might be like, oh, just hit all the local businesses in town. And yeah, sometimes it's easier to grow your garden in your own backyard, but wouldn't it be nice that just by posting stuff online, you get an order for, $5,000 to someone in another state? And they don't mind paying for shipping because, again, they know they're buying from another state. And so that can be really impactful for a lot of people, that all of a sudden what was traditionally just sold, face-to-face, belly-to-belly, and all of a sudden the internet has allowed you to then really be global for a lot of people. And not to say that you have to sell online, it's just saying that it just gives you another avenue to have a look at. And then so finally, the last thing that I would say when I was talking to these thoughts for the CEO is recognize that people are on different platforms, different audiences exist on different platforms. So kind of to what we were talking about before, should I be on Twitter for business? Should I be on, Facebook for business? Just think about who you're trying to attract. So in our community, we live in a small community, about 100,000 people. Facebook, that's the one you got to be in, right? Because that's where businesses are. That's where people are. What's up, Nadia from Florida? So that's what happens was that when you're because if you look at how many people are on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, in our community, the biggest platform is Facebook and LinkedIn, those two. But I'd say from a networking perspective, you can use Facebook a lot easier than you can LinkedIn right now.
Our division has a Facebook link, so like the company does.
Yeah.
I'll go through that.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. What's up, Sherm? Gabriel, morning from California. Good morning to you. It's actually noon here, so good afternoon. It's actually almost 1. So any questions then from anybody else as we talked? Facebook, any questions? LinkedIn, any questions? Or no, this is Instagram. Instagram, any questions? Any questions here?
Quality of camera. I know we're talking about videos here.
Yes.
Sometimes there's crappy videos.
Yes, there are crappy videos. So one of the first things I would tell for a lot of people, it's not the camera as much as it's the oil on your camera. So a lot of times if you're talking like that, my oil from my face is getting on the camera. So just wipe it. Like just wipe it off. Wipe it off. That'll be the first thing for a lot of people, right? So you're right, because I do consume a lot of people's content. That's one of the first things, right? The next one is, surprisingly, so if you look here, you can look at this camera. This is just the laptop camera. So it's not stellar. It's not like high definition, but it's good enough from a standpoint that they can see me decent enough that they're not going to be turned off by it. So then I think if you have, as long as your cell phone is probably within the last 3 years, you probably have a better camera than most people. And then the selfie camera, that one's going to vary depending on the cell phone that you have. I do know some people that they want to invest into this, right? So I know some businesses that they'll go and they'll buy like a nice Canon high definition zoom lens camera, and I think that's great if you feel like you're going to be taking a lot of videos and you want a higher quality of video. At the same time, I think for a lot of people, it's more the content that's being created that people care about. And they understand that, okay, obviously you're not in social media, right? So if I was a marketing company, I'd want to make sure that my videos are all polished, especially if I'm talking about how awesome I can make people's videos. But if you're in a different industry, I think people understand. The other thing is just lighting. Lighting's huge for a lot of these cell phone cameras. So if you can open up the blinds, right? You see that I have the blinds open up here, and that's literally just so I can have some natural light in here, or else it's too dark with just the ceiling lights, and that can just be then it makes it really grainy, and then it looks kind of just old and dated. And so that can be really, really important, is just the lighting that you're using. So a lot of times I know for products, so sometimes going outside to take a photo, if you live in Arizona where like blazing sun all the time, then probably not outside is a good place, because then it'd be too much white. Then there's too much light. So you're looking more for like getting into the shade. I think could be useful. Sorry, just my nose is itchy like crazy. So good question about camera. Anything else? Any questions from California or Florida? We got 4 people here. We got 1 here. Any questions, Dean? Any more comments? This is Dean, or maybe it's someone else. Let's see. Okay. Well, we're doing this every Friday, everybody. If there's any questions that you have, feel free to send them in DM. I'll answer them. I'll create a YouTube video or I'll put it on my podcast. Or what we'll do is we'll address it next Friday. So every Friday, 12 to 1, I'm going to do a live session talking about social media strategies. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy that's using it. I'm a practitioner like many of you. I'm in sales, run my own biz. So I want to be able to just share some different ideas that's working really well. Like the stuff, Sherm, thanks. No problem. And then, of course, if you're in the area, feel free to jump in here live, just like our friend here, face to face, belly to belly. So let's see. How do you create consistency? Sounds good. Can't wait. Thank you for sharing. So real quick, Brandon, consistency comes down to strategy. So one of the things that I will tell you is I have an article on LinkedIn that I talked about. I call it You Incorporated. I basically give out some different strategies if you don't have a strategy right now when it comes to social media. So what I would say is, as you're building out your content, you're building out your story, you're building out who you are online, is to be able to then post at least once a day. Just start there. Just do once a day. And seriously, most people go to the bathroom sitting down at one point in their day, and you can easily post up during that time period. Nobody needs to know that that's where the source of it came from, but don't record while you're doing it. But that's when you can post it, right? So I know everyone can find time in their day to do one post. And so where I would start then is if you don't want to create your own content, if I'm on LinkedIn, again, look at your industry. What are they already putting out? And then read one of the articles. If you like it, and then share it. And then what I typically do when I'm sharing somebody else's articles is I just put a question out there. Like, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? And so the interesting thing about it is when I've done that is it's been a great way for me to be seen as an industry expert just because I'm reading articles about my industry from other companies and I'm sharing it and then I'm asking people questions. Another one, make sure the sound is off. Yes, make sure the sound is off if you're recording while you're sitting down. So then, Brandon, after that, from a consistency standpoint, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you want to get a little bit more advanced, then I would follow hashtags. So right now, I go on Twitter, look at the search, and then it'll tell you the trending hashtags. So typically, the way that it works right now, January 12th, 2018, Monday, typically Monday motivation, hashtag Monday motivation is almost always a trending hashtag on Monday. Tuesday, it's Tuesday thoughts. Hashtag Tuesday thoughts. Then Wednesday, it's hashtag Wednesday wisdom. Thursday, it's hashtag Thursday thoughts. And then, or sometimes Throwback Thursday comes in there. Right now, trending today was hashtag Flashback Friday. Also though, typically on Fridays, hashtag Friday feeling is another one. So basically all that you can do is just on Monday, have a post on Monday about motivation. Then Tuesday, it could be about, Thankful Tuesday and, something that you're grateful for. And so this can be a video that if you want to. I like video, but I don't mind like the sound of my voice. I don't mind the way that I look. I don't mind that it's not super polished, or if it's, the angle's off or, I don't get caught up in that. I know other people do though. It bothers them, right? And then they don't want to post. So I would look at something that I could post up that has like text on it that people could read it, right? So if maybe it's a Post-it note, maybe it's a cool motivational quote, I'd want to do a photo and then put some text on the photo. So you can do that in Instagram stories. You can do that on most galleries. Your phone will allow you to do that. I don't think you need to download a special app. If you don't want to, there are gobs for doing stuff like that. Instagram, right? So what you can do is in Instagram, you can take the photo, put the caption in, and then save it, and then you can post it from, using that. And then after that, so if I'm using content from from other companies and industry, then it's just every day, Brandon, pushing something out. And don't get caught up where people are like, oh, if I put up too much, people are not going to like it. Look, McDonald's has a McDonald's all over the world. They're probably one of those prolific fast food restaurants, and they invest millions and millions of dollars on every advertising possible, right? Billboards, commercials. They're sponsoring, the McDonald's high school all-star game, right? They're sponsoring gobs of events. They're all over the place. And so that's where a lot of people end up thinking like, oh, I don't want to be all over the place. In order to be top of mind, you need to be in front of people. So the more that your story's out there, the more that you're posting, the better. And the only reason why you're thinking that it's not a good idea is because you haven't done it yet. Would you recommend promoting your own post? Yeah. So the way that I would do, great question, Gabriel. So the way that I post to encourage other people is so if you saw my LinkedIn, I said I'll be going live on Instagram, and then I put the link for Instagram, I put the link for Facebook, and then so I'm promoting them to go check it out. If you're let's say you put a post on Instagram, you could say, oh, check out the full video on my YouTube channel. Link is in the bio, right? And so now you're pushing people from your LinkedIn to go to your YouTube. On your YouTube, you could be talking about people, hey, have you connected with me professionally on LinkedIn? And so you're using these different platforms to be able to see you and consume you on different mediums. And the main reason for this one is I call it the MySpace issue. That MySpace basically doesn't exist as a platform like we know it today because Facebook literally just crushed it. And so there's just not a lot of attention on MySpace. And so you don't want to be building this huge, massive following on LinkedIn or on Twitter, and then all of a sudden it gets shut down, right? Or the worst is I had a friend, she had 12,000 people following her on Instagram. Her account gets hacked, starts all over again, has to start all over again. Okay. Awesome advice, Sherm. We'll be working on applying these tips and engage more on the different platforms that are available. Awesome. And just know that when you engage with people on different platforms, there's different, it's a different audience. People that like Facebook will probably consume you more on Facebook than they will on any other. Other people that are on Instagram are going to consume you on Instagram. And so just know that you're going to have different people. All right. So that's the stuff. Thanks, everybody. See you next Friday. Sherm's out. Okay.